Hey, Zane Griggs here. So, why do I recommend eating or replacing carbs with fat, eating more of a high-fat diet than a high-protein diet? Now, if you remember, Atkins and some of the early low-carb diets really were very high protein, and people ate a lot more animal protein, really a lot of cheese, a lot of meats, sometimes very fatty meats. There was no need to worry about the fat, okay? But eating very high protein, and sometimes eating more, maybe more than they should have, and they left out a lot of other foods, a lot of other very nutritious foods that are beneficial to our bodies and the way our bodies like to work. The other thing about eating high protein is that protein can still, or does, elevate insulin. So if you're eating a lot of protein, or eating, whether it's a large amount, like more than, say, 40 grams in a meal, let's say, give or take. Let's say you're eating 60, 80 grams a meal. So you're talking about, let's say someone's really chowing down on 12 or 16 ounces worth of meat. Okay, so there's going to be a big insulin a reaction to that, much more so than your average kind of 6 or 8 ounce portion. As opposed to eating fat and maybe some very fibrous veggies, you're going to get a much smaller bump from the veggies, and fat has no effect on insulin. So by keeping insulin down, we're able to burn more fat. And actually, over-consuming protein, when you have more protein than you really need, it can be, it's not going to happen to most of us, but it can be converted to glucose, believe it or not, glucose being sugar, okay, and again, bumping insulin and causing, the blood sugar issues. So that is not as big of an issue. The Atkins diet still worked, but the problem was there was a lot of imbalances. There was people kind of neglecting to eat their vegetables. They weren't eating a lot of vegetables, which have a lot of great nutrients for us, a lot of great antioxidants, and a lot of very healthy plant fiber, okay? Not the kind of fiber you're going to get from grains, but vegetable fiber, which is great for feeding our biome and the bacteria living in our gut and all over our body. And that kind of helps keep things moving, because one sort of negative side effect from having a large or high protein diet is you start to get a little backed up. And that's no fun. And it makes you kind of grumpy, uncomfortable. It's not beneficial helping you maintain that diet, and it usually makes it a very short-term diet. Okay, then you go back to eating normal, as opposed to having a low-carb diet that's more of a lifestyle change, a healthier lifestyle change, that you're getting a lot of plant, or veggie carbs, which are very fibrous and have very little quick energy in them. Okay, so as opposed to your big serving of veggies is going to have maybe 6 or 8 carbs that aren't fiber that you could burn, as opposed to something kind of starchy like sweet potatoes, corn, rice, any kind of bread that's going to have 20, 30, 40 grams of starchy sugar in a serving that's not attached to a fiber, that isn't a fiber. So that really elevates blood sugar. So fat being the next best ideal, or the best ideal energy source, because it doesn't elevate insulin, it doesn't keep us from releasing fat to be burned in our body. When we eat fat, and I mean not just animal fat, okay, so there's animal fat that comes along with the protein that you're eating, okay? But then there's other fats you can include in your meals, like when you're eating your eggs, there's natural fats in the eggs, but there's also the coconut oil that you could cook the eggs in, which is going to be in there because you're cooking it in there. Avocado, any kind of fat that's in nuts that you're eating, olive oil on your salad, butter on your veggies, or even putting a little coconut oil in your coffee. So if there's other sources of fats, okay, that aren't tied to another nutrient, aren't tied to protein, that you can add there, that will, if you're keeping your insulin low, allow you to burn that fat and keep it in your system longer, keeping you more satisfied, keeping you from getting hungry, okay, and still allowing your body to release body fat. As opposed to when you sit down to, like, you have a serving of potatoes or rice or pasta, bread, insulin goes up and it tries to remove all that fuel. So it will remove that fuel out of your bloodstream, store it in fat cells, okay, whatever you're not burning off in that moment, it's going to store it in fat cells, and since it's removed all that fuel from your bloodstream, you're shortly after that going to be hungry again. Within a few hours, a couple hours, you're probably going to be hungry again and craving some carbs, and your blood sugar's coming back down, right? Or your insulin's coming down, blood sugar's coming back down. So you're craving more carbs and more food because you've removed that fuel. The insulin has removed that fuel because of the reaction to the carbs. as opposed to eating some eggs, which is a little bit of protein, like a few eggs, 21 grams, not a lot of protein, a little bit of fat in there, coconut oil, avocado, maybe some fibrous veggies on the side, like asparagus or Brussels sprouts, like you've seen me do. And you have a very small bump in insulin, goes down pretty quickly, but you still maintain, you keep a lot of fat in your system, in the bloodstream, for fuel, and you don't inhibit fat burning. So you actually release more fat from your body. Okay? It's the stores that you actually want to burn. Okay? Anytime you release insulin, you're gonna stop that. You get insulin coming back down quickly from a protein higher veggie. Okay, so it gives you a little something to burn, but not much, and keeps things moving, as I mentioned earlier. And you keep that fat flowing in your system. The dietary fat from coconut oil, the avocados, nuts, eggs, natural occurring fats in the meats, stays in your system longer, and you're going to be more satisfied. You're not going to be craving something, trying to snack again in the next 2 or 3 hours. And you have a longer sustained period without eating, okay, before your next meal, where you're actually going to burn more body fat, but not feel like you're hungry, starving, or that your energy is crashing. You have a much steady level, energy. So, how do we implement this? Well, so your protein serving should be anywhere between 20 to 40 grams, depending on what you're doing and how big you are. And if you're under 100 pounds, you're 100 pounds, 110 pounds, something like that. Yeah, 20 grams, throughout the day. That's probably you're going to get enough protein. I talk to a lot of people, primarily women. I'm going to say women who struggle to get in very much protein during the day. When we really look at their diet, they're usually not getting that much protein. They're looking at maybe 50, 60, maybe 80 grams a day, and I try to tell people, try to get a minimum 80, 90 grams, and that's kind of like a starting out, let's get your minimum 80, 90 grams in there, based on their size. So, but you could go as high as 200. Again, depending if you weigh at least 130, 140 pounds, you could go as high as 200 grams of protein a day without really getting into what's called high protein. Okay, so that means you could have up to 4 servings of 40 grams of protein each serving, and not go over that. You'd still be in the 150, 160 range. So that's really not. That's plenty of probably more protein than most people eat. Okay. So 40 grams is you're looking at 6 to 8 ounce servings. So you can have 6 to 8 ounce servings of a protein. So that would be either like 7-ish, 6 or 7 eggs. Okay, probably 6 eggs, or a 6 or 8 ounce piece of fish, chicken, beef, pork, whatever it is. That's a pretty good sized portion, and most people just don't. They might have that maybe once a day, and everything else they're kind of picking at. So if you had 2 or 3 meals with that kind of 30 to 40 grams, so 6 to 8 ounce portion, you're getting enough protein. Okay, you're going to be over 100 for sure. And you're going to be able to supplement with more veggies, which have more antioxidants and more nutrients that are going to help keep things moving. You're not going to be eating so much protein that you're getting a lot of uric acid buildup, which is usually associated with gout. But you're not going to get a lot of uric acid buildup that's going to cause any kind of acidic issues in your body. Your digestive system will should be able to work properly, okay, with the right veggies, and you're going to be satisfying some hunger. So eating enough protein that you're not going to be hungry, okay, all the time. Whereas if you're eating carbs, you're hungry all the time. So it's a nice happy medium, 3-ish to maybe 4 if the 4th one's smaller servings of protein per day, and lots of veggies. And then remember, just keep your carbs for either right after an intense like weight training or boot camp workout, and then at dinner at night. And that's all you need. Those two times to have that starch. Nuts for snacks, veggies for snacks. Again, more vegetable fiber, more nut fiber. Nuts have the fat, healthy fats and fiber. So you get a greater variety of food, greater variety of nutrients coming into your body, without feeling like you're just eating one kind of food, which is just meat and cheese, and which was very much the Atkins diet for a long time. It was like meat, cheese, lots of meat, lots of cheese, not so much emphasis on the vegetables, almost no fruit, which I would still agree with. You just don't need it all the time. But to include that variety, to have, again, a better flow through your digestive system, more nutrients, more antioxidants, something that's more sustainable, something that's more colorful, something that you can actually live with throughout your life, and just regulate that carb source as you need it for energy or for special occasions. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. If you know someone who can benefit from hearing this, again, tag them in the comments, and I'll talk to you later.